Hey, Mother Truckers. So we're going to talk about a few things today. One, we're going to talk about this national blitz that's going to happen and my problem with it. The second thing is we want to debunk some things that people are talking about, talking trash about a truck driver that just went into some water. Why did that happen? And talk about the percentage of when there is a blitz and DOT or state troopers are pulling over drivers. In this situation, over 58% were put out of service. Let me pose this question to you. Would you ever get on a Southwest flight, Spirit flight, I don't care what it is, and if they announce that, hey, out of all these planes that we have today, 58% of them are not working properly. I dare you to get on that plane. And at the very end of this video, DIY semi, good friend of mine, he wants to make this letter to the FMCSA and talk about what he feels are the big issues.
And I see a lot of people talking about some of the issues that are going on right now, but they stop short of saying the whole deal. And I'm just going to say it all out there today because I don't hear anybody else talking about it.
I want to go over this major blitz that's happening May 13th through the 15th. We touched on this a little bit here, right? And so the focus that they're looking at is hours of service. So it says regulations are in place to safeguard transportation safety by limiting drivers' hours and mandating adequate rest breaks to ensure commercial motor vehicles drivers have the opportunity to get the rest they need, thereby preventing crashes and incidents caused by fatigue. So it says to ensure the compliance with hours of service regulations, drivers must accurately reflect their times and duty statuses in their RODS. So which is the log that a commercial motor vehicle driver must maintain to record their driving activity. Failure to record, complete, or retain the log, or knowingly falsifying logs or other related reports is not only a driver out of service violation, it also makes the driver and or carrier liable to prosecution. So during this situation, they're going to be checking, they're going to be inspecting, they're going to be checking your ELD and making sure that you're not falsifying anything. And, the second big part to that is that they're going to be looking at tires, right? And so, look, the tires, of course, important, but checking your ELD, that's something that they should be doing anyways. They say that this big blitz is May 13th to the 15th. So my big question for all you mother truckers out there is, like we just stated about Texas, right? They pulled over a few hundred trucks and over 58% of them, more than half, were put out of service. Why? Because it was a random blitz. Now, when the CVSA does this big announcement and, they tell you the exact days of the blitz, guess what? The back actors are not going to be working those days. They're going to take the day off. So maybe this is not popular of a statement here, but do you think it would be better if the FMCSA stopped making these public announcements? Here, there's a viral video going around where people are saying this truck driver's an idiot. Why would you drive in the rain? And was it your GPS? Are you new? Do you speak English? I mean, just so many negative comments around this video right here. And it's all pushed out of context. What really is happening here is no, the truck driver isn't trying to get a shortcut, trying to get on the interstate or anything like that. He parked there, and when he parked there, there was no flood. And so for the last few days, it's been raining like crazy in Louisville, Kentucky. What happened was the Ohio River overflowed, and then it just pushed the water into the city and surrounding areas. And it says the rainfall was over 7 inches and pushing flood waters as high as street lamps. So no, the truck driver didn't drive in a bunch of water, probably parked there before. And because of this event, got screwed. Hopefully this driver's okay. And the people in Louisville, Kentucky are okay as well. So, hey, it's nobody's fault. But when you see a quick clip of this, that's the first thing you're thinking. And, half the stories hurt people. And so try and do my best to share all the information in this situation.
First of all, I'd ask that you help me share this video out with every politician, local, state, federal politician, every law enforcement officer and agency in the country, every Facebook trucking group, anywhere to do with trucking that you feel can help get this word out. Sean Duffy, I hope you're watching. I hope this makes this to you. Fellow Wisconsin guy here. Hey, next time you're in the state, let's get together and have some cheese curds and a bratwurst here and talk this out. A little bit about me. I am more than 25 years in the trucking industry, given more than half my life to this industry that I love. Over the last 5 years, I've attempted to grow my business significantly, and I am more deeply entrenched in every aspect of trucking than I have ever been, and I am disgusted beyond belief by what's going on. Had it up to here with all of it, and I see a lot of people talking about some of the issues that are going on right now, but they stop short of saying the whole deal. And I'm just going to say it all out there today because I don't hear anybody else talking about it. And is anything going to get done? Maybe, maybe not. We have an administration now that claims to care about these things. I got no dog in that fight, so we'll see one way or another. There is an FMCSA law in the FMCSA book that says you must be able to read, speak, and communicate in the English language in order to be a CDL holder and drive a commercial vehicle. There is a reason for that. It is public safety. So, Mr. Politician, every family that is killed in a construction zone because this person couldn't read the road sign that says all trucks must use left lane, 35 miles an hour, traffic back up ahead, stop, yield, 9% grade ahead, Colorado ring a bell, Texas, people recently killed in Texas. I find you complicit in all of that because I stood face to face with the FMCSA in Louisville, Kentucky in 2024 at the truck show. And they told me to my face that they were ordered to disregard that portion of the rules, to not enforce it, to pretend like it does not exist. You should have to explain face to face to every person that was injured or the family member of every person that was killed by somebody because they had no idea what our traffic rules are. They have no idea what our signs say. They have no idea what their bill of lading say that they have a 45,000 pounds of corrosive or flammable materials on the back of their trailer that when they crash is going to clear 50 square miles and be an inhalation hazard. Okay, are you starting to get the seriousness of this? When we go to a shipper's window and the three people in front of me have to use Google Translate to tell the person at the window what they're supposed to be loading onto their trailer? Do you really think they understand what it says on their paperwork? Or the safety procedures of that particular warehouse where there may be chemicals involved in an event for a chemical spill every person has to be accounted for and they have safety procedures? Or not to pull out of the dock until you're done so the person in the forklift in the back of your trailer doesn't get killed when you dump them out on the ground, probably break their neck. You could go on and on about these safety aspects. Others have done so. I'm going to move on to some other things. This administration claims to care about deporting violent criminals from this country, people that have overstayed visas, etc., etc., etc. Why are we not talking about the white-collar crimes associated with this and the administrative crimes associated with this and the complete drain and tax on our system? We can't place the blame squarely on the shoulders of the current administration. They've been in power for several months. This goes back way far, right? So plenty of blame to go around here. But the current administration claims to care a great deal about deporting dangerous individuals, taking violent offenders and locking them up. What about the white-collar crimes associated with this? Let me explain to you how this works, right? The foreign influence in trucking. Now, this is just touching the surface. We can have further conversations about this. Somebody comes over from a company like Serbia, Moldova, Ukraine, and starts a trucking company here. Within months or a year, they have hundreds of trucks, which involves capital of way excess of several $1 million. You come here as an immigrant with your clothes on your back. Where does that money come from? Where do you think that money came from? Drug money? Laundered money from their home country? Now, not only do they start this company and grow it, they grow it by importing nearly 100% labor from their home country. So they bring in more work visa related people, more people on work permits, when there is Americans perfectly willing to do these jobs. And stop pushing this phony driver shortage narrative. It's never been true in the past. It's not true now. If you want conversations about that, we can have these conversations another time. Stop listening to the ATA. They do not represent truck drivers. They represent the largest of trucking companies. They do not represent truck drivers. So they should be dismissed categorically from any future conversations you have in Washington. Leave them out. Okay. Now back to what we're doing here. We flood the market with foreign labor. I've heard in excess of 800,000 non-domiciled CDLs, foreign immigrant CDLs. My personal experience from being on the road, my gut feeling is about 1 in 3 truck drivers are immigrant labor. I've heard numbers as much as 40%. I've heard that 800,000 number thrown around. Okay. Now, it has nothing to do with who they are or where they're from. It has to do with the problems that come with it. One is safety. We talked about that. Now let's talk about the white collar crimes. Okay. They bring this immigrant labor in, and then they will hire American individuals and bring them in and pay them. And they pay them employees on a 1099 rather than a W-2. So what does that mean? That means they're not paying workers' compensation. They're not paying unemployment insurance. They're not paying their side of FICA, Medicare, Medicaid. So let's total all that up. Just in my personal experience, when it comes time to hire a driver, unemployment, FICA, workers' compensation, you're a little bit over 20%. Now that's going to vary a little bit for each business. So just with those 3 issues, I'm at a 20% disadvantage in wages in hiring an employee versus what they can do. So my wage cost is 20% higher right off the bat. Now this is wages. One issue, one segment of employing somebody running a business. I'm at a 20% disadvantage right off the bat. How do I compete with that? It makes it hard for me to hire people. As a compliant trucking business in this country, American citizen, I'm at a 20% disadvantage right off the bat. This is not anecdotal things that I'm saying here. This is the general rule of thumb of how things are done. This is not the exception to the rule. This has become the rule. And if you want to have conversations about that, let's get together and we'll point some fingers at some people, right? So they're taxing our employment services, our social services, the programs that other people pay in millions of dollars to let these people off the hook, right? So when one of their employees gets hurt, I and people like me and the people that work for me have to take up the slack to make sure that their medical bills are paid because they didn't pay any workers' compensation. When they lose their job, the rest of us have to pick up the tab for their unemployment. They have no medical benefits because they're not employees. We can go on and on with these things. They're taxing our services at an unfair level. The rest of us have to pick up the tab. Now let's go past that a little bit. Let's talk about costs of doing business. And this is one of the biggest issues. And if you don't do something about this, you're going to destroy trucking. There will be no compliance in trucking. You will not be able to be a compliant trucking company because you can't compete against what is happening here. And this goes back to public safety and a whole bunch of things. Hours of service and log resets. This is rampant in the industry, and it is primarily in these foreign companies. They use services to go in and falsify driver logs to reset hours of service to allow these drivers to run indefinitely 30, 40, 50%, 100% more miles than a driver can run in a compliant company. And that is fact. You ask a truck driver, stop asking the ATA, stop asking companies, ask truck drivers what's going on. Because we see this every day in the industry. So you tell me, insurance, equipment, things like that are all my fixed costs. What happens to fixed costs when you can dilute them down by running 50% more paid miles than I can with a compliant company? If my trucks can run 25 to 3,000 miles a week, 2,500 to 3,000 miles a week, and their trucks are running 5,000 miles a week, Their fixed costs of doing business, which are the largest costs, equipment and insurance and so forth, are diluted down to nothing. So right off the bat, it puts me at another, figure the percentage, 20, 30% disadvantage right off the bat before we even leave the parking lot. So far I'm at, 30 to 40% total disadvantage and penalty for being a compliant company. And this is day after day. Drivers are dumb enough to tell you. You walk right up to them and ask them, does your company do log resets? Yeah. They'll even tell you the company that does it. So if you want to find out, why don't you look into that and end that? I'm not a big fan of your rules of service and some of the rules, but we operate within those rules. And if we don't all have to operate within those rules, then nobody should have to. So it's good for all of us, or it's good for none of us.